Hello. Hey. Ni hao. C'est passé? Ciao. Bonjour. Assalamu alaikum. Habari. What's up? Greetings to all. My name is Amber Nicole, your favorite diversity specialist, and welcome to this week's ticket to inclusivity. Check in. We are in a crazy time right now. How are you doing with the COVID crisis, this global pandemic? I know that it can be, for me, it can be sometimes overwhelming. Even trying to work from home and still trying to homeschool, whatever that is. Side note, mothers and fathers who are homeschool parents, you are gangsters. All my love, right? And it has been a time to learn, stretch, grow in many different ways because there is so much going on. So for this week's Ticket to Inclusivity, I just wanted to kind of share some things that I've been trying to keep in mind during all of this. The first thing is that this is new for everyone. We are in an unprecedented time in our nation, in our history, and in the world. We are facing a global pandemic. I was just telling my sister recently that these are the things that you read about in school and in books that you don't think that you're going to experience in your lifetime. And then I got excited thinking that like we're going to be those grandparents now. They're like, well, let me tell you about the pandemic, the global pandemic of 2020. But I got inspired and excited by that because I'm going to be able to tell my grandkids the story, how we came out of the global pandemic, the world that happened after we had a global pandemic. So the first thing I wanted to kind of remind, or that I try to keep in mind, is that there's a lot of uncertainty for everyone, whether it is professionally, financially, like I said, trying to homeschool kids while trying to just make it through and have some sort of semblance of sanity. So what may look like anger or dismissive behavior or someone being rude in an interaction, maybe your coworker or someone just at Walmart, could simply be fear. Fear manifests itself in several different ways, and there's a lot going on right now. So I think it's just being mindful that this is new for everyone, and that a little grace during this time can go a long way because this is different. The second thing that I am trying to keep in mind is that this too shall pass, right? This earth, this planet, humans have been through rough times before. And like I said, we normally read about those things. Whether it was the Spanish Inquisition, it was the Salem witch trials, it was the many different extinctions that archaeologists teach us about, whether it is the Atlantic slave trade. We've been through tough times before as a human race, the planet, all of that. And we read about them because someone told their story, and that's how we were able to read about them. We learned from them. And so I try to be optimistic about that this is our story, the now. When Anne Frank was writing in her diary, I don't think she thought that children around the world were going to have to read this like in the 8th grade about her experience. She was simply sharing her experience. And through her experience, we got a whole different view, or a humanistic view of what was going on in government and all of that. This is our moment. Whether we are sharing on social media, or maybe it's that time to get a diary, and maybe it's just the hello that you gave in the grocery store to someone, and it made everything to them, and then you ended up in their diary. And then that's the legacy that you get, a part of your legacy that you may not even know happened. But that is something that I'm trying to keep in mind in this moment, that this too shall pass, right? Thinking forward about all that is to come, because to me that is exciting. Knowing that that's how we get through this is together, all of us. And then the third thing that I try to keep in mind and that I'm trying to remember is that perspective is everything. Optimism and outlook make a difference in everything from patient outcomes to the next invention to belief in yourself about that dream that maybe you didn't even know that you could bring to fruition. And prior to COVID, a global pandemic, I felt that navigating even conversations felt very divisive, felt very divisive. We were in this time where everyone was protesting, or it felt like to me, they were protests, or they were yelling or scrambling or trying to scrape for what maybe they considered to be their promise of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It oftentimes felt like it was so many things were falling on party lines and all of that. But human interactions are interesting to me because we often bond over struggle or even a common enemy, right? And globally, we are fighting a common enemy, and that is this global pandemic, that's COVID. I now, right now, in this moment, feel closer to people I've never met on continents I've never visited, because I know that they're fighting the same fight that I'm fighting right now. It may look different because we are we have different things as far as our problems are concerned in that area, but overall, we are all hoping for life, hoping for this to end, hoping for something new, and the enemy gets to be COVID. We get to refocus and repurpose the energy that felt divisive and separate. And it reminds me of a group development theory about, it says that groups go through stages of forming and storming, norming, and then performing. I felt like our nation felt stormy, right? We were trying to figure out what this new normal, who should be in the in groups, the out groups, who belonged here, who didn't belong, whether it was politics or body or immigration or education. Everything felt like it was something that was tense. And it felt storming. And it felt like even we've been storming and hearing about storming for a long time. Whether it was women's suffrage, the Revolutionary War, I mean, all of that. Jim Crow, storming. And I'm excited about the new normal that happens after this. Many of us are now working from home. We have an appreciation for what it means to be unable to get out, unable to move around. Yeah, well, that's not new for differently abled people, or maybe those that use a chair. But now that the majority and many able-bodied people need accessibility, then we need to figure out how to make it where people can work from home, how to all of that. And I'm excited about what that means for our country, our business, our cultures as a whole. Because when we make things equitable for the few of us, you're still making things good for the most of us. We have to take care of the least of us. That's where we have to care. And I'm excited about what comes after that. How we look at things differently, how much we appreciate things, such as being able to go to work or being able to get out or being able to interact, because those things have been taken. Our new normal, our new norming. I'm excited to see what that looks like. I'm excited to see us bring people to the table during this time. A lot of times, diversity and inclusion and equity, these are things that businesses or leaders and individuals are like, okay, I'm gonna think about that, a little later. I got time. And then crisis happens, and it's like, oh, how do we make sure that we have everyone at the table? How do we best solve this problem? How do we this? Inclusivity, the things that, I've been saying. I'm excited about that becoming a norm, figuring it out together, because that's how we get out of this crisis together, and better than before is together. So that's exciting to me to think about the landscape, and when we get to that stage of performing and what performing looks like for us. Because, like the saying, they say when the water rises, all the ships will rise. I think that there have been populations and groups and subgroups and subpopulations and cultures that maybe felt like the water was rising, and that maybe they were trying to tread water, we were trying to tread, but now I feel like we're doing this collective, okay, we'll get in this boat and we're going to rise differently, and I'm excited or optimistic about that. So those are just the things that I wanted to add or remind you of, or things that I'm thinking about while we're having this conversation about now, what happens next. The things that I'm sure about is that we are better together. While we're separate, we are alone together. And the world after this one is ours for the making, the creating, and the bettering. And I look forward to see what everyone has to offer. So that is all I have for this week's ticket to inclusivity. I am Amber Nicole, your favorite diversity specialist. See you next time.